There is a photograph. A single black and white image, faded by time, holding inside it the most explosive secret in the history of football. In it, you see a crowd gone wild in the stands, players collapsed on the pitch, and at the center of the frame, almost imperceptible, a man with the ball at his feet, and the entire world holding its breath. But what that photo does not show is what happened behind the scenes that day. The screams, the threats, the ball that almost destroyed a World Cup before it was even over, and a secret that was buried for nearly 100 years. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to discover will forever change the way you see football. It was July 1930. The world was still trying to recover from the trauma of the First World War. The Great Depression was tearing through entire continents, and humanity desperately needed something to bring it together. It was in this context that FIFA, a still young and fragile organization, decided to do something that had never been done before in the history of sport: hold a World Cup. And the country chosen to host this historic event was a small, overlooked nation, absent from most maps, with fewer than 2 million inhabitants: Uruguay. The choice was not random. Uruguay had won Olympic gold medals in football in 1924 and 1928. They were, in practice, the best team in the world. But there was a detail that very few people know even today. FIFA practically had to beg European countries to participate. A sea voyage of more than 2 weeks, absurd costs, and deep skepticism about South American football led most European federations to decline the invitation. England, which considered itself the inventor of football and the absolute authority of the sport, simply ignored the tournament as if it did not exist. Germany, Italy, Spain, all said no. In the end, only 4 European nations made the journey to South America: France, Belgium, Yugoslavia, and Romania. And do you know how Romania was persuaded to go? The country's own king, King Carol II, personally selected the players and personally guaranteed their jobs would be waiting when they returned. A king picking a squad. That actually happened. Uruguay built for the tournament the Estadio Centenario, a colossus of concrete and national pride, constructed in just 8 months to celebrate the centenary of the country's independence. It was the largest stadium in South America, with a capacity of more than 80,000 people. But here lies one of the most delicious secrets of this story. The stadium was not finished in time for the tournament's opening. The first matches were played at smaller grounds, while workers labored day and night, racing against the clock, to complete a structure that represented the soul of an entire nation. It is impossible not to feel the pressure of that moment, a whole country betting everything on a single dream. The group stage was relatively smooth for the favorites. Uruguay steamrolled through their opponents with a blend of startling technique and a physical intensity that left rivals bewildered. Argentina also advanced with relative ease. But it was then that the tournament began to reveal its darker, more human, and more fascinating face. Because there are stories from that stage that rarely appear in any book. Did you know the United States reached the semi-finals? Yes, the Americans, with a squad made up mostly of Scottish and English immigrants, shocked the entire tournament by eliminating Belgium and Paraguay. Their coach, a Scotsman named Wilfred Cummings, employed tactics so different from anything European or South American sides had seen that opponents simply did not know how to respond. But when they met Uruguay in the semi-finals, the American party ended brutally, 6-1. And there is more. In one of the group stage matches, the referee had to be escorted off the pitch by armed police officers after sending off an Argentine player. The rivalry was so fierce that the line between sport and political confrontation was practically invisible. Argentina and Uruguay met in a semi-final that was, in practice, a preview of the final itself. The Argentines had beaten Brazil 4-1 along the way, and here it is worth opening a painful parenthesis for Brazilian supporters. Brazil arrived at that cup with a fractured, poorly organized squad, and suffered a historic defeat that still stings. But Argentina, powered by star forward Guillermo, the tournament's top scorer with 8 goals, looked unstoppable. And there was a curious and rarely mentioned detail about Stabile. He played the entire World Cup without ever having played an official match for the Argentine national team before the tournament. He was, technically, a debut player. And yet he became the highest scorer in a World Cup. The history of football is full of these poetic injustices. But now we arrive at the point that will truly make you stop and think. The final. July 30th, 1930. Uruguay versus Argentina at the Estadio Centenario in Montevideo. More than 93,000 people inside the stadium, a number still disputed by historians, because many entered without tickets, bribing security guards or simply forcing their way through the gates. It was the largest sporting event South America had ever witnessed. And before the match had even kicked off, there was already a crisis threatening to blow everything apart. The captains of the two teams could not agree on which ball would be used for the match. It sounds absurd, it sounds minor, but think carefully about what it meant. There was no official World Cup ball. Each team wanted to play with their own country's ball. Argentina insisted on the Argentine ball. Uruguay insisted on the Uruguayan ball. The referee, the Belgian John Longinus, who, incidentally, had demanded an armed police escort as a condition of officiating the match, such was the level of tension, attempted to mediate. The solution reached was worthy of a diplomatic summit. The Argentine ball would be used in the first half, and the Uruguayan ball in the second. And here is what happened. In the first half, with the Argentine ball, Argentina played better and reached halftime leading 2-1. In the second half, with the Uruguayan ball, Uruguay turned the game around and won 4-2. Coincidence? Perhaps. Or perhaps history is telling us something about how much the smallest details can change everything. But the ball was not the only thing at stake that day. On the Argentine side of the River Plate, in Buenos Aires, something alarming was unfolding. From early morning, Argentine supporters had been trying to cross the river by boat to watch the final in Montevideo. The Uruguayan police, aware of the scale of the tension, restricted entry for foreign spectators. Many were turned away. Others arrived armed, yes, armed, and had their weapons confiscated at the stadium gates. The Argentine press of the era reported that Uruguayan police seized dozens of revolvers at the entrances to the Centenario that day. We are talking about a World Cup final where members of the crowd attempted to enter carrying firearms. This is not in the postcards of football history. This was buried. On the pitch, the first goal was scored by Uruguayan Pablo Dorado in the 12th minute. A low, precise shot that opened the scoring and made the Centenario shake. Argentina responded quickly. Carlos Pucel equalized shortly after, and Guillermo Stabile, the tournament's relentless top scorer, put the Argentines ahead. 2-1 to Argentina at halftime. In the dressing rooms, the Uruguayan silence was heavy as lead. That was the most important moment in the country's history, not just of football, but of the country itself. Uruguay had staked its national identity on that World Cup. To lose would be more than a sporting defeat. It would be a rupture in the very fabric of who they were. And then the second half happened. With the Uruguayan ball. With the crowd in delirium. With the weight of an entire nation pushing every single player forward. Pedro Saya equalized at the start of the second period, and the Centenario erupted. Then Santos Iriarte put Uruguay ahead for the first time. And when Hector Castro, a man who had lost his right hand in a work accident as a young man and played with an arm amputated below the elbow, scored the fourth goal in the closing minutes, sealing the score at 4-2, the world stopped. Hector Castro. Think about him for a moment. A man with a single arm, in an era without functional prosthetics, without any special protection, playing in a World Cup final. And scoring the goal that confirmed the title. If you wrote that as fiction, people would say it was too much, that reality does not work that way. But reality has this cruel and generous capacity to surpass any fiction imaginable. When referee Longinus blew the final whistle, what followed was one of the most chaotic scenes in the history of sport. The crowd invaded the pitch. Players were carried on shoulders. The president of Uruguay, Gabriel Terra, declared a national holiday for the following day. In the streets of Montevideo, a celebration that lasted for days. On the other side of the river, in Buenos Aires, the Uruguayan embassy was pelted with stones by furious Argentine supporters. The relationship between the two countries, already complex, grew even more strained. And for days, Argentines refused to speak about what had happened, or spoke only in whispers, like someone trying to erase a memory that cuts too deep. The impact of that World Cup extended far beyond the borders of South America. FIFA, which had struggled to convince Europeans to participate, suddenly found itself with a very different challenge: how to make the world take football seriously as a global event. The 1930 World Cup answered that question unequivocally. When Italy hosted the World Cup in 1934, the tournament already had a completely different dimension. The European nations that had refused to sail to Uruguay were now fighting for a place in the competition. Football had proven it was something greater than a game. It was politics. It was identity. It was the way countries found to confront each other without going to war. And here lies the true legacy of that 1930 final. It was not just Uruguay that beat Argentina on that day. It was South America telling the world that football did not belong exclusively to Europe. It was a small country, with minimal resources and a population smaller than many European cities, planting the flag of modern football at the top of the world. Uruguay did something that transcends any statistic or trophy. It created the mythology of South American football. That idea that a team can overcome any adversity, that grit and belief can conquer pure talent, that was born there, in that second half of July 1930, with a Uruguayan ball and a one-armed man scoring a goal the world will never forget. The photograph I mentioned at the beginning, that black and white image, faded by time, is real. It exists. And if you look for it, you will find it in the FIFA archives, in the Uruguayan Football Museum, or in rare historical sports books. In it, you can identify the players, the crowd, the pitch worn raw by the July heat. But what the photo cannot capture is the smell of that day. The sweat, the fear, the hope, the rage, the joy. Those things only history can hold, and only those who stop to listen can truly feel them. Football was never the same after 1930. And Uruguay, that small country the world kept insisting on ignoring, became forever the first world champion. An honor that no one ever will be able to take from them. If this story gave you chills the way it gives me chills every time I dive into it, hit the like button right now. That simple gesture helps this channel reach so many more people with stories like this one. Write in the comments and tell me what you thought, and let me know what city and country you are watching from right now. I genuinely love knowing where this incredible community comes from, you people who truly love the real history of football. And if you are not subscribed yet, click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because there is a lot more history like this coming your way very soon. Oh, and one more thing before I go. While researching for this video, I came across a product that I found genuinely fascinating. Something that goes straight to the heart of anyone who loves football and nostalgia. I am not going to give away what it is here, because the surprise is part of the experience. Check the link in the first pinned comment below. It is a curious recommendation that might mean something real to you. And look, what you just watched here is only the beginning. In the next videos, I am going to reveal stories even more surprising than this one. World Cup finals that almost never happened, players who changed football forever and were erased from history, controversies that textbooks deliberately buried. You are not going to want to miss any of it.